Hello, and welcome to another episode of FPL Waffle. I think I said the wrong title last week in my intro. But yeah, FPL Waffle, we're back. A review of game week 31. Looking ahead to game week 32, the blank game week. I've put together a free hit draft if you're free hitting. But also, if you're not free hitting, there'll be some tips from that free hit as to players that you might want to target sort of individually for this game week. So without further ado, let's crack into the screen share and see how I got on this week. So I finished up with 65 points, which I was pleased with. I got a green arrow. It would have been a much bigger green arrow had Liverpool not absolutely smashed it last night against Leeds, which was always my biggest worry of not having Liverpool assets. I just would have had to have taken too many hits to get them in this week, or sacrifice Kane, which in hindsight would have worked. But his fixture at home to Bournemouth looked too good to take hits to get rid of him for. So I played him and he blanked, but he's already gone this week, and I'm going to show you at the end of the video who he's gone for. But in terms of highlights, I mean, Watkins, what can we say? The man is absolutely in the form of his life at the moment, smashing it. The returns, as you can see on the screen, are just flying in, and against Newcastle with a massive 16-point haul, which gave my rank a nice boost because not everyone around me is still on him. So very pleased with that. Captain Haaland felt like the right choice. So I was pleased with that. Grealish, Bowen, they were really nice returns. So my one transfer last week was Grealish in for Rashford, and he came out with a 7-pointer. So no complaints there. Bowen with a 7-pointer was a very nice differential for me. Yeah. Although Saka missing the penalty in the same game was painful. He's now what's he done? 0 points against, no, sorry, 1 point against Leeds, 1 point against Liverpool, 0 points against West Ham in the last three is horrible for Saka. So this has really got to be his redemption week for me at home to Southampton. Beyond that, not much to really report. But yeah, like I said, I'm up with a green arrow up to 563,000 from I think that's a 35,000 rank increase. It was almost 100,000 rank increase before the Liverpool game. But it is what it is. I still got a green arrow, so I can't complain too much. Let's have a look at the fixtures for this upcoming game week as we look ahead to game week 32, a blank game week with some of the key teams missing out on. But we do have Arsenal at home to Southampton, which is a fantastic fixture. And I think you would be almost crazy to not have any Arsenal players this week, whether you're free hitting or not. So I think that's a game you really need to target this week. Fulham v Leeds. It's a nice fixture for Fulham. Leeds are obviously conceding goals by the bucketful at the moment, but there aren't really any kind of Fulham assets you'd want to target. So I'm not really convinced if you'd want to go Fulham this week. Andreas Pereira could be on pens, cheap midfielder, etc. But there's too many other good midfielders this season. Are you really gonna use up one of those slots for him? I don't think so. Beyond that, Brentford Villa, it's hard to look past Watkins at the moment with his form, as discussed. Palace v Everton. Elise Eze are looking good against the really sort of weak Everton side. Back to Brentford. I mean, you could get a Tony, but I don't know. Villa are doing well, so I think he isn't maybe a standout pick for me. Leicester Wolves. Wolves are on good form. Leicester are struggling. I don't think you kind of be diving into any of those assets. Wolves are a side that tend to not score loads of goals. Leicester are a side that are just struggling. So you might want to take a punt on a Madison or something, but I think if you don't get a return from him, you're not going to be surprised. And then Liverpool v Forest is probably one of the other standout fixtures this game week. With Liverpool just battering Leeds. Forest are a side that are good at home, but they haven't been as good away from home. So I'd expect Liverpool to do well this fixture. So I think you've really got to be looking at the Salahs, the Trents of this world for that game. The Liverpool attackers are hard to predict beyond Salah because Gakpo and Jota obviously did well against Leeds. You'd expect them to start, but with Nunes and now Diaz and Firmino floating on the bench, you're just never quite sure who's going to start. So, but yeah, I think you need to look at that fixture either way. And then, yeah, whether you're free hitting or not. And then Bournemouth v West Ham. I think Solanke's on great form as he proved against Spurs. You might want to consider him. Beyond that, West Ham, like Bowen, obviously recently has done all right. Ben Rama, you might want to have a punt on. Maybe one of the defenders. It's not a bad fixture for either of those sides, really. So you might want to look at that. And then Newcastle Spurs. I mean, I think Spurs are going to struggle to score loads of goals away at Newcastle, aren't they? Newcastle have been a solid side all season, but then Newcastle are struggling to score themselves. They've mainly been primed on their clean sheets, which have slipped lately, and you'd expect Spurs to probably nick that clean sheet, albeit maybe not a rout. So I'm not looking at that fixture thinking there's a particular player that might smash this game. But if you already own a Kane or a Trippier, I think you'd be quite happy to hold them this week, and if you don't need to move them on. As for my free hit draft, here's what I've put together. So we've got the Palace keeper in goal, who's Johnston at the moment. Home to Everton, I think, is about as good as it gets with a side that is relying on the likes of Mopay and McNeil up front. Just you're not going to get many goals in a side without Calvert Lewin in that team. So I've backed the Palace keeper in goal. At the back, I've gone for Trippier just because we know how good he can be all season. He always offers attacking and defensive threat and bonus point threat. So home to Spurs is good enough for me to have him in. I've then gone for double Liverpool, maybe controversial. Part of the logic is I think there's better options or sort of equally as good options as the Liverpool attackers, perhaps further forward. And I just think Trent and Robbo are nailed in that Liverpool side. They both have attacking potential as well as clean sheet potential. And at home to Forest, they're, I think Forest, like I said, not very good away from home. I'd expect them to have a decent chance for clean sheet against Forest at home, Liverpool. And then with the attacking potential as well of Robertson and Trent, I could see returns, at both ends of the pitch. So I think because of their nailedness, because of their return potential defensively and attackingly, I've got them both in there. I like the idea of them. And then, Salah I've got as captaincy at the moment just because of his form lately. And home to Forest again, like we said, great fixture. Bowen, I think, is a nice punt with West Ham coming into a little bit of form, and Bowen too. Away to Bournemouth, nice fixture, a little differential too. Then got Saka and Martinelli, two of the standout Arsenal attackers this season. Home to Southampton, it's about as good as it gets for a fixture. Martinelli's on great form. Saka, I always trust is going to do something, even though he's had a bad 3 games. Like he's on penalties, assuming he keeps them after his miss. I just think you can't really go too far wrong with those two. And then I've got Jesus for a third Arsenal attacker. I just think be aggressive against Southampton with that fixture. Jesus has been doing well recently. Just go for the 3 sort of best Arsenal attackers and be aggressive if you're playing a free hit. And then Solanke, because he's on form, I've popped him in. I think he deserves a place. West Ham have been a bit shaky. And although they've come into a little bit of form, they're still conceding goals, etc. So obviously that was smashed 5-1 by a not very attacking Newcastle. So I back Solanke to have a good chance for scoring at home or assisting. And then Watkins, I just don't think you can leave him out with the form he's in at the moment. Whoever he's playing, I think you think he's going to score. And away to Brentford, while not the easiest fixture, it's good enough, isn't it, to get a return. And on the bench, we've got Elise first bench, Elise Eze, like I've mentioned earlier. I think 2 great shouts for Palace against an awful Everton team. Cresswell for West Ham. I like it because we know he can put up attacking potential, and against Bournemouth has a clean sheet chance. And Moreno, I put there because he's worth a mention. He's been doing brilliantly for Villa defensively and attackingly as a fullback, very attacking fullback. He's been assisting Watkins for days. So I think, he deserves a sort of potential mention as someone to consider. And the other goalie, I just put Guaita there because I thought, if for some reason he made a miraculous recovery from his injury, you've got the Palace keeper sorted, whether it's him or Johnston. So that's my free hit sort of draft. If you're not free hitting this week, I think players from this draft you could still very much look at are the Liverpool boys because they double in 34 with a very nice double. And then they also have good fixtures for the rest of the season, and they're coming in some nice form. I think Bowen you could consider because he's also got a double in 34, albeit not the best double in the world, but it's a double nonetheless, and it's a nice fixture this week. And then I think Solanke, because he's on good form and could help to fund other things in your team. Like, for example, we'll come into my team in a sec, but I've brought him in to help me fund other things. And he's got some decent fixtures coming up too. So he could be useful. And then Watkins, if you don't have him ready, I think it's hard to ignore him. So I think, they're players. If you're not free hitting, you could still very much consider this week anyway. As for my team, as just mentioned, I have indeed, like I said, brought in Solanke for Kane. Kane's fixtures now, they've got away to Newcastle, which I think I don't think they're going to score loads of goals in, like I've said before. And then home to United again. Maybe it's an easier fixture now. Man, you have defensive issues, but it's still United. And Spurs aren't scoring loads of goals. So anyway, I've brought in Solanke. He's on good form. Home to West Ham's a good fixture. He then has Southampton and then Leeds, or in one of those orders, which are two of the best fixtures you can have as an attacker this season. And because I've downgraded Kane to Solanke, I've now got money in the bank. So I've taken a hit this week to get out 11 players that I'm happy with Trent coming in as well at the back for Dunk, because Dunk was blanking. And I more want to keep Haaland, Matoma, and Grealish beyond that with their doubles coming up to this season. Yeah. I feel like Edison, Haaland, and Grealish are the three sort of most nailed City players that you'd want in your fantasy team this season. Yeah. And then Matoma for Brighton. I mean, he's just been class for us, so I'm not getting rid of him at all. I would have happily kept Dunk. I wanted to keep a Brighton defender, but he was the most sort of sacrificed one. If I ever do bring a Brighton defender back, it will probably just be an excuse for me to be able to get Estepinian in, who I think has a better chance of attacking returns, along with the clean sheet potential. That's my team. I'm happy enough with it since I don't have my free hit. I've got 11 players out at the cost of a -4. Technically, I didn't even need to take the -4, but I wanted to bring in Trent and Solanke as opposed to just sort of like some average defender for a free sort of transfer. So yeah, this is my team. Captain armband on Saka because I don't have Salah, but I'm very happy with Saka. He's going to be a bit of a differential this week, I think, because he hasn't returned lately. So everyone's going to be maybe putting the captain's armband elsewhere. But as he proved against who was it when he scored twice a few weeks ago? Like Saka can turn up on any day, and at home at the Emirates, this could be my differential captain. For a player that we know can do really well, and for a team that's smashing it this season, and I'm hoping wins the league, to be honest. And then Madison's a nice differential for me against Wolves. Bowen, like I've mentioned already, is nice against Bournemouth. Solanke and Watkins up front, I'm quite happy with. Zuma at Bournemouth could get a cleaner if Solanke doesn't return. Trent against Forest, I think, is just a great fixture for him. And then, yeah, my Botman and Trippier, I'm not thrilled with, but Spurs, like I said, haven't been scoring loads, so it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle kept a clean sheet at home. And then Henry against Villa, like, you never know. I think Brentford have been strong at home. He could get a clean sheet if Watkins blanks. I've sort of covered myself there between the attackers and defenders. If one does well or one does badly, hopefully the other will do well. And Everson in goal, like Leicester have sucked, but home to Wolves is a good fixture. If they're ever going to get a clean sheet, home to Wolves is one of their best chances. And he's been making saves, getting save points, as we can see. Well, that doesn't look that good actually, but the 4 points there against Bournemouth proved it. So yeah, I'm not expecting much from Everson, but hopefully he gets me at least a couple of points, maybe even more if I'm lucky. So that's my team. There's some thoughts for this game week. I think I'll leave the video there in order for it to not be too long. But yeah, good luck with your game weeks. I'd be interested to see and hear about what sort of teams you've put together, if you can be bothered to comment in the comment descriptions below. But otherwise, I hope you found this helpful. And I'll look forward to catching you guys on the next one. Bye for now.